Hello there, me again. You may have forgotten me after all this time, but I mentioned in my Christmas video about an unplanned hiatus that my channel's been going through at the moment. I promise you I am back with videos. Unfortunately, the wait was a little longer than I wanted because actually by the time I managed to find some time to play games, my microphone decided to break. So I have got a new one, and on that note, just let me know if in this video it sounds too quiet, too loud, because I'll still be messing around with levels, but other than that, I won't keep you, and enjoy the video. This game was requested by Cyberpunk Girl, thanks a lot, and I was very shocked by the fact it downloaded in about 5 seconds. I don't think my internet's that good to warrant that, and the last game that installed that quickly was Mushroom Cats, which had a cumulative playtime of 2 minutes and 5 seconds. That and the fact this game had mixed reviews on the store gave me a bit of mystery as to what I was going to find. Then that mystery was immediately crumbled, because as soon as I clicked the icon to load up the game, it actually began to download for real, and this time it took about 35 minutes. I loaded up and was sent straight into a tutorial. I was told that the aim of the game was to destroy all the enemy's buildings after fighting your way through one of 3 lanes, either upper, middle, or lower. You use your hero to attack enemies, attack enemy buildings, and to raise flags to claim territory on your enemy's side or in grey areas. You gain Prime, which you use to buy abilities and items, by being in the vicinity of a downed enemy or building, or by killing one yourself. You get more Prime for getting the final blow. The abilities you get have cooldowns, but they're more powerful than your basic attack, so it's best to use them when you can. You also have a teleport ability with its own cooldown, that cooldown increasing the more times you use it. You can use this to teleport back to your base and heal, or you can use it to teleport down a lane after you die to get back into the fray. Unfortunately, the process takes about 5 or 6 seconds to teleport, which means the likelihood of you successfully using it to teleport away from death are slim to none, since you have to press the button, scroll the map to choose your location, click, and then wait for it to actually work. At your base, you have an item store where you can use Prime to buy scrolls, healing items, etc. to help you in the fight. Another thing at your base is a mini-game, which you play to gain scrolls, which you can gift to other players or use for yourself. It seems like a bit of a random thing, since everyone else on your team could be fighting enemies in the lanes whilst you're goofing off playing minigames at the back, but the perks the scrolls bring do help. It's all explained pretty well, but there are a lot of abilities you can get and it's hard to understand what they actually are. Some raise your intelligence, your cunning, but it's not really explained what those affect. There aren't too many items, so those aren't too hard to understand, plus hovering over them explains what they are anyway. The healing potions were okay, but not really all that effective if you were using them in desperation. The amount of health they gave back to me was sadly pitiful compared to what the enemy was taking out of me. When I finished the tutorial, I then chose a username and a faction, and was shown a short cutscene of an environment before the screen stopped on a castle and a field. On the left there were various bubbles with exclamation marks, which I realised were tasks, and tabs at the bottom for buying new heroes, buildings, and territory. The task walked me through buying buildings and a little of their use, such as farming areas to get food for your castle residents, a library to store any extra talents you unlock or buy, a mansion to make extra space for more people in your area. Again, it's well explained at a basic level, but there are a lot of elements to it that'll take time to understand. You can upgrade buildings to increase their output and space, but you need more castle spaces to do that. Almost like Red Planet farming with its features versus electricity supply mechanic, one can't be increased too far without increasing the other. You need money and Prime to upgrade heroes, and to buy new ones, and you have buildings that can produce both of those things. So the more resources you have, the more upgrades you can make to money production, which means you have more money to buy more heroes. I then spent some time delving a little deeper. When you go into your hero menu, you can see their skill levels and abilities, and hovering over them tells you what they are, such as cunning affecting your critical hit chance, intellect increasing your magic damage, etc. This gives a bit of a better idea as to what you're focusing on with the character you have, and also you can swap out talents that might be of less use to you. You earn talents by playing games, making them straight out in your talent garden with gems, and you can also reforge talents using the Prime you earn to change them into something else randomised if you get a duplicate or if it's no use to you. Some talents can't be used until you're a certain level, same with buildings for your castle and certain heroes. You can upgrade the talents that you have to make them stronger, but you usually have to use multiple talents, and you have to have legendary gems for that, which are a bit harder to get. The buildings you make give you resources, but you can also buy buildings that up the stats of your heroes once you get to a certain level. This means that you have to take the time to maintain your castle because it gives you battle benefits, which kind of works as a circular mechanic. Your castle levels up separately to your heroes, so again, it does incentivize you to invest in building it up. You can also aesthetically upgrade your castle, but that doesn't really give you any bonuses other than being able to show off. I played my first online game after discovering all that, and it took me about 14 minutes to connect, but it was a 5v5 game and I was with 4 other strangers. Weirdly, the game opens up a fresh window for the actual game and then switches back when it's over. In all honesty, in this game, I didn't really know what I was doing, and every single enemy seemed to be better than me and taking absolutely no damage no matter what I did to them, which meant I died many times. We ended up losing. I can't say I was much help other than trying to sneak my way through the lane whilst everyone else was distracted, until someone noticed me and came to kill me. I had a bit of difficulty with the camera view, since you have to click ahead where you want your character to run, but it then means you're not looking at them anymore. Plus you use left mouse both to click where to move and to click who to attack, so I often found myself running into the midst of enemies whilst trying to fight them. Other than the 5v5 mode, there are also challenge modes which exist for a certain time. One of them was a 5-player team versus the Touched, and the mode varied in difficulty by 3 tiers. Your character had to be above a certain power level to play each tier, but the lowest tier was pretty accessible considering my character was only level 3 because I finished the tutorial and lost one 5v5 game. The matchmaking times are pretty long. Twice I waited over 20 minutes before doing something else and then coming back to try again, but with no luck. I tried again a different time of day and matched a little faster. The game started and I was presented with a playing field and a few quests at the side of the screen. The first one was to raise the territory flags, then to kill monsters to charge a crystal. And that really was the precedent for most of the quest, with the rest of the tasks being along the lines of killing stronger monsters, killing specific monsters, raising flags that had been lowered, escorting a small goblin, and finally killing a dragon. It was a long enough game that I could activate all my talents, and I got some new talents out of it too. In terms of game content, that's about it. Sounds like an odd thing to say after all that explaining, but really the 5v5, the challenge mode, and the maintenance of your castle are the key mechanics. The goal of the game is upgrades and victories, and collecting champions to upgrade and win with. There is a pay-to-win element in that you need gold for more resources and for buying pets like cats or dogs that you can use as companions in battles, but they aren't too crucial to the gameplay, so it's not bad if you won't pay. There's a community aspect as well, in that you can add friends and join a clan, but again, I don't think there are any dramas if you don't. The game has seasons, where for a period of time you accumulate wins to get points and unlock rewards. You can also win season trophies to unlock chests with talents in them, and you can get chests for being at a certain position in the leaderboards, since I think the normal 5v5 mode is actually ranked. The matchmaking for the online games is roughly fair. I've seen most other players between level 1 and 9, but there is a fair amount of difference between those levels and some of the champions, so it can feel a little like the odds are against you if you're using the basic ones. I know in one game, a guy had a stun attack into a multi-hit combo that he kept using, which was annoying as anything, because I couldn't run or fight back as he killed me every single time. Things like that make the game frustrating, but certain champions will be stronger against others, and the more you level up, the better talents you can get to hopefully counteract that. One thing I also will mention in the games is that the closer you are to the enemy side of the map in terms of tower destruction progress, the longer your respawn takes if you get killed. That does make sense, but the problem is that reload time can be up to 2 whole minutes. 2 minutes is a long time to be sat staring at a game that you want to get back into without being able to do anything, and this kind of thing puts a huge peg in the flow of the game. It almost makes it feel stagnant, because you respawn, make a tiny bit of process, then die again and have to sit for 2 minutes doing nothing. Music and sound effects are decent, there's not too much environment variety, but it's not too bad because most of the variety comes from champion combos. It's a decent game, the tutorial is well explained, but it's a lot to get your head around when it comes to talent combinations and getting to grips with all the game's mechanics, but that's something you just have to learn over time. The matchmaker isn't the fastest and a lot of players are Russian, but when you do get playing, it functions how it's meant to and is pretty much the same concept as Dota. It's enjoyable enough but does require a lot of time to know its depths, and the long waits for respawn can be increasingly frustrating when you're up against enemies that can stun you for long periods of time and beat you to death without you even having the ability to counter. I will admit in general these aren't my favourite kind of games either, so I may be potentially a little biased, but it was fun to try out as a request, so I'll give Prime World a 7 out of 10.